Divorce-proofing your marriage. This is a very practical session where I'm going to give you just one idea where you can use it every day with your mate that shows you how you can give each other energy. And it also illustrates what drains energy out of your relationship. Now, it's the draining things that move us towards divorce. I mean, I use it every day. I used it today with my wife. I know it's practical. Now, we've already given you a number of divorce-proofing methods. Remember the closed and open spirit? I mean, that's important. Remember the whole area of forgiveness? A number of things are helpful in keeping you happily married. But this session is very specific where you can use it on a daily basis to give each other energy. I know it'll be helpful to you. All day. How do you keep your energy up so high? How do you do it? I don't know. How do you keep your energy? All these sessions, and you've kept your energy high, and I appreciate that. It fires me up, and we all know that, and we all know somebody that's been involved with divorce. We know how painful it is. We know it's not a pleasant experience. And I run around the country doing everything I can to help divorce-proof your marriage, divorce-proof your friendships, for that matter, because I don't want you to lose your best friends. And so that's what this session is about, some real practical, simple things that we can do to divorce-proof our marriages. Now, I know there are a lot of jokes about, divorces and that type of thing. You know, you heard like, they used to have a divorced Barbie doll. You ever hear about that one? Didn't do well, they recalled it, because it was Barbie in a box with all of Ken's things. But they had a Ken divorce doll too, okay? It was Ken in the box with a new car, a gold chain, and a hair toupee, chest hair. So neither one of those did real well. The other one about the guy who says, I had so much pain going through my divorce that I will never even consider marriage. And if it ever comes to my mind, I'm going to save myself a lot of time and money. I'm just going to go out and find a woman I hate and give her my home. Now these are, unfortunately, we laugh about these things, but those who have been through divorce that I have known, what a pain. What a terrible ripping and destructive thing. It is not funny to them. The people that are watching this right now that are in the middle of it or just starting it or just recently experienced it, they know the pain. So anything we can do for you to help divorce-proof that relationship. And in fact, some couples who are headed there and just about to the place, they can apply this simple method we're going to do today, and it's amazing the immediate results that you can see. Something you can do your whole life, but if you start it immediately, it strengthens it right away. So the way I'm going to explain how to do this is to give you an example of what happened to me and my wife the first 5 years of our marriage. Now see if you can figure out, even as I say this, what does this have to do with divorce-proofing your marriage? But it's very important to understand. Here's what happened. First 5 years, she marries somebody that's not real responsible financially. I never had to be as I was growing up, and I didn't know anything about all the balances in your check and all that type of thing. That wasn't my thing. She worked in a bank, so when we got married, it was only obvious that she ought to be doing the bookkeeping and the check writing and so on, and our paying of the bills and so on, and she was more than happy to do that because she's a very detailed person. So, first 5 years of our marriage, we have 2 checkbooks, 1 checking account. I'm writing checks hoping there's money in the bank, which was really frustrating her. And when she'd say, we're overdrawn, I'd say, we can't be. I still have checks in my checkbook. That'd be impossible. There were times where she would come to me in tears and say, I can't keep this up. This is driving me crazy because, see, here's what I wanted. I wanted to keep money in the bank the whole month. And then at the end of the month, just before we were paid again, then we'd pay our bills. If we had enough, we'd pay whatever ones that we could. All right? Because I like the idea of having money in there. You never know. And she liked to pay them right away. Okay, so it was a real frustration for her. Well, she would say, well, we got 2 late notices on this one bill. That's nothing. Now, wait till you get like 4 and 5. Then you start getting nervous. You shuffle around to the ones that are 5. The ones that are 2, they go to the bottom. They just work them way up. That's the way I lived. It was really terrible. It was terrible for her. You know, she tried to help our boys, for example, learn these skills as they were growing up, and they are today. But for a while, it looked like they were taking after me. And so it's important, but I was not responsible. One day she comes to me in tears, lays all the bills, all the checks, all the budget, everything on my lap in tears and says, I've had it. I can't do this anymore. This is going to drive me crazy. And she told me, in fact, even this year, she said, when I gave you those checks and everything and said, we're either going to sink or swim, she realized what she was really doing was giving our home away and giving our car away and giving our life away, because she knew that I was not going to be able to do this and that we were going to go under financially. But the pressure was on me, so I got some help from some people to get a budget, you know, and I did it for 15 years. And I got out of the mess, and I finally learned to be, quote, you know, responsible financially, even though that still could be a problem. But what did I learn right off? You got to have more money in the bank than what you spend every month. It's not real complicated, is it? Pretty simple. Make sure your balance is higher than what you're spending. And that's exactly the concept here today on divorce-proofing your marriage. It's really simple. It's only one of the concepts. There are many available today, but this one is so powerful, I wanted to illustrate it and really get you involved in actually practicing it right here during this session so that it'll become a part of your life. It's so simple and yet has tremendous implications and a profound effect on your marriage. What you want us to do is for you as an individual is to make sure that there's more deposits coming into you as a person by your mate than withdrawals. Is that complicated? And then what you want to make sure is that you are giving more deposits into your mate than you're having withdrawals. Now, you can do this with anything. You can do it with friendships. You can do it with your children. Your children can do it towards you. It works in any situation. So all I want to do is just explain it, illustrate it, get you to practice it, and watch how it works in our life. Okay, so number 1. What we want to do is for you to record, or you can do it verbally, but if you can record it and write it, it's better because your mate can see it. Record your own personal relationship banking history. In other words, think through what are the withdrawals that we received as we were growing up that we remember, and a withdrawal is loss of energy. Anything that took your energy, anything that was sad, anything that you didn't look forward to experiencing, a rough experience, something that in your mind would be pictured as a withdrawal. For example, in my own life, withdrawal for me was when people used to control me. My father was very controlling. We would go fishing, and I can vividly remember this, that if I was catching fish in this one particular place, he'd come over and shove me out of the way and say, get fish somewhere else. And he would fish in that hole. I can remember doing that to my kids. And I vividly remember the time I was fishing with my kids in the stream in Colorado, and I was catching fish, and my kids started wandering up with their fishing pole, all 3 of them, to fish in the hole I was in. And I said, no, 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 no. And then it was Greg that finally screamed out, Dad, we're not trying to fish her. Carrie broke her leg. And I literally thought, I have to leave this place. And so I handed Greg my pole, you know, and said, you fish here for a while so I don't miss anything. I went down, okay. But now what was I doing? I was following some of the same things that my dad did. Early part of my marriage. You wonder how my kids ever turned out halfway normal. I followed some of the things my dad did. I didn't like control. That was a withdrawal from me. I had a boss when I was real controlling. I didn't like it. It was a withdrawal from me. Anytime I sensed Norma being too controlling, and see, I would react. It was my own personal history of what I reacted to as a kid growing up that were really withdrawals to me. Well, major withdrawals are anytime we have somebody who's controlling us or absent too much. Aren't those the two biggest factors of an unhealthy relationship or family? Right, too much control, too absent. Those are the ingredients of unhealthy homes, the two big ones. We had a couple that some of you may have seen on one of our infomercials right at the end, Kevin and Julie, and they share just briefly. They don't go into the whole story. I'd love to have you hear the whole story. He came home one day and couldn't get into his house. She had a court order, kicked him out. He couldn't come in, flat out. Shocked him, he was angry. A friend came over, took him, to their house, and he started watching these videos. But what had happened is that Kevin had made all kinds of withdrawals from Julie. I mean, he had done all these things. He was controlling, he was absent too much, he was very harsh, critical, too angry, arrogant. Anytime you're around people that are really arrogant, it's a withdrawal, and it takes your energy away. And this was Kevin. And when she finally said, I can't take it anymore, she built the fence up, closed the gate, and said, legally, with a court order, you can't even come in here anymore, there's too much abuse. Fried him. He goes to this friend's house, they start watching the videos, has a major effect on his life. And then, because they hadn't divorced yet, he started making some deposits. But this is what happens anytime we get too many withdrawals versus the deposits. Now, in my own life, growing up, I started making a record of just what are the things that have happened to me that were really withdrawals, and I shared it with Norma. Because if we do similar things, she'll understand more about me. It's amazing how it affects us. Second, this is for our own self. What are the major deposits as we're growing up? What are the things that we did as a kid or happened to us as a kid that really, for us, we would consider deposits? Well, now here are the major deposits for anybody anyway. These are sort of a summary of the major deposits. It's security, saying, I love you. It's a major deposit for both males and females. When we need to hear that, it's knocking on a person's fence and asking permission. Don't just bulldoze a person down and being insensitive to their own boundary. That's a deposit. When they sense your sensitivity, it's listening and sharing. Well, see, when Kevin started doing these things with Julie, these were deposits for her. Now, here's what she commented on, even recently. She said to me, I could tell that Kevin wasn't really that excited about saying I love you and listening to me and touching me. I could tell that he was forcing it. As he would listen to something I was saying, he was preoccupied, he was a busy person, had his own business, but he was trying. And she said, when I saw his effort and his trying right in front of me, it was a major deposit in me which warmed my heart. And that's why it was so easy to say, let's keep going. I think we can make it together. She saw him trying. The more he did, if you see him today, I mean, you would not know that they had this kind of problem in the past because of how sensitive he is and how responsive she is. But deposits, which were overcoming those withdrawals, and the bank account was adding up. So with me, for example, as I was growing up, major deposits for me was singing with other people. As I was working on this session, I was just analyzing with my wife, what both of us understand. I was writing down singing, and I realized that when I was in the 3rd grade, and then from then on, my sister taught me every song that was popular back then. I would sing with her and harmonize with her. I got so much energy singing with her. And then I started singing with friends, and all my life. In fact, I used to go on, did we not go on tons of dates? And all we did for 2 and 3 hours was sing and harmonize. I'd get with some of 3 or 4 or 5 of my friends, get in a car, drive for long distance, sometimes just stop and sing. Close harmony gives me a lot of energy. In fact, as I really think about it, I should have been a singer, and not a speaker, because there's so much energy, but energy comes from speaking too. But I wanted to sing. Still to this day, when she sings with me, tremendous deposit, because he was so important to me when I was growing up. Fishing is a big deposit for me. Certain activities are big to me. Our favorite activities. For example, there's times where she might want to make a deposit in my life, and she intended to make the deposit, but it turns out to be withdrawal. Now, that's going to happen from time to time. That's why we communicate with one another. We say, I'm trying this as a deposit. Does it work? And have your mate say, no, it's not going to work. That's not a deposit to me. Because, see, we want to make deposits into people's life that's deposits to them, not because we enjoy depositing it. It may not be. The couple that decided that maybe a big deposit for them as an activity they do together would be to learn how to duck hunt. They thought that might work. They didn't know. So they asked this person, they said, well, you got to have a really good hunting dog if you're going to be successful with this. So they go find this champion hunting dog, and they hunt all day for ducks. Early in the morning, they get up, before the sun. And it's evening, they're both exhausted, no ducks all day. And at the end of the time, he says to her, maybe what we're doing wrong is we're not throwing this dog up in the air high enough. They forgot some of the stuff, so it started off as a deposit, ended up as a withdrawal. Well, now, activities, okay. What I'd like to have you do right here is discuss with your mate, or if you're here as a single person with a friend, discuss with the people right around you, what were some of the deposits that you experienced as you were growing up? That as you think back, now this was big to me, or you might even think of what are some of the deposits in the first few years of your marriage, or when you were dating. What was a big deposit for you when you were dating? Just discuss a few of them, then I'm going to get some of you to volunteer and share what those things were and that you remember both as a youth or in the first few years of your marriage. Okay? So we're just going to discuss this because you got your hand out. You can fill these things out. This is in your manual. On your mark, get set, go. All right, you've had a chance to interact on this. Let me hear some volunteers, and I'll just repeat them if we can't pick that up, as to what was the deposit for you as you were growing up or in the first few years of your... Yes?
Sharing my time with my wife.
Sharing your time with your wife. So just being with her. And anything specific?
Actually, just instead of coming home and diving back into work and finishing it up, just saying, putting that aside, spending that time with her, giving her that quality time.
Giving her quality time, just being with her, maybe holding each other on the couch or just eye to eye or doing what she wants to do. Doing what she wants to do is a deposit for you. Isn't that great? Wouldn't it be a wonderful world if a husband would come home and say, a deposit for me is doing whatever you want to do? Huh? How many women would love something like that, huh? Okay. Anybody else? Over here, yes. So as she was growing up, you were in all kinds of sporting activities at junior high and high school and so on. When her parents would show up at those games, that was energy to you. Ooh, is that important? How many young people say to me, I wish my mom or dad was here to watch me do this? Big deposit for kids. So today, see, how do you implement that as an adult? Whatever you're involved in, when your husband shows interest in being there, supporting you, whatever you're doing, that's deposit for you. See, it'll go right on into your adult years. Anybody else? Anybody over here? Yes.
We go on nature walks with my dogs and my wife.
Okay. He goes on nature walks with his wife and their dogs. 2 dogs. Okay. Deposit to him. Doing something. See, together. How long are those walks? As long as you can stay on your feet. Okay. So you talk during the time and a couple hours. That's a great one. I love that. We do that. I love it. Except our 2 dogs are too young now and they're dragging us all over the woods. And they don't have any discipline yet. We have this big book that's supposed to teach us how to discipline the dog. You haven't figured that out. It's a withdrawal some of the time. Okay, see what I mean? So what you do is you think about the things you did as a young person while you were dating. In fact, when we discussed this, I said, what were some of the big deposits that you experienced as we were dating? And she goes, let me think. She says, there must be one. She says, our dating time was pretty rough, and it was. I mean, she reminded me of some of the things we did, and it was touch and go at times. I'm still amazed that you hung in there long enough now that I hear this stuff. Okay, so that's the first one. You know what's great about this is that as you do these things together as a husband and wife, guess who's picking up your behavior? Your children. And guess what they're going to tend to do naturally when they become husband and wife? They're going to be doing this stuff more naturally. They're watching your every move. They pick up everything. Even little kids. Somebody wrote me a letter recently just to show you how much kids pick up stuff. And as you are the example. This 2.5-year-old little girl said one night to Mommy and Daddy, can I pray tonight? See, little kids pick up a lot of stuff. And they said, yeah, that'd be great. So she folded her hand, and she said, dear God, thank you for Mommy, and thank you for Daddy, and thank you for, my brother and my sister, and thank you for our kitty, and thank you for our doggy, and for our house, and thank you, dear God, for shopping at Walmart. She heard it somewhere. They pick up this stuff naturally. They don't even know where they get it. Your kids are watching your every move. When they see you making more deposits than withdrawals, and you actually explain this to them, making deposits in their life, you can ask your kids, how's my balance with you? They're pretty honest, if you let them be. So that's the first part, is what is a deposit, what is a withdrawal for you? Now, second part, just a simple, what's a withdrawal and what's a deposit for your mate? Take my wife for an example. We're talking about the same things that we do for ourselves. What are the big withdrawals? Too much control, absent too much, et cetera, okay? When I used to control the meetings that we had, said, let's have a meeting. They used to turn her stomach. She used to say to me with her words and her eyes, I hate your meetings. At times, she would say that. I never understood why. I would think, guys, it's so exciting to have a meeting. But now I realize there was too much control doing those meetings. She would say to me, don't call it a meeting. Call it something else. Let's just get together and chat or anything, but not a meeting. Well, as I understood those things more and more, then I would not make those withdrawals. Guess what was a big withdrawal for my wife? When she was in high school, she was involved in a major auto accident. As one of the passengers. The kid that was driving lost brakes, went out, they went over a cliff. A couple of kids were killed, her good friends. She was in that whole mess. Broke her neck and was in a cast for a long time. And so is she a little bit nervous about being in a car and driving? Yeah, even to this day. So all of our married life, if I veer over a little bit too far on the edge of a road, she'll go, oh, you're over too far. Where does that come from? Those are withdrawals for her if I'm not extremely careful. I understand that. So I can understand and say those positive things to her instead of getting on her case about watching every move I make in my driving. Because that's a withdrawal to her. It's a big deposit if I'm careful. Especially if it's icy and snowing and those kinds of things, as you know. So that's a big. Guess what else is a big withdrawal for my wife? Snoring. You ought to do the same thing I'm planning on doing, okay? There are 3 major things today that I've found out that you can do for snoring, which I'm, going to check in and make sure that I get one of I'm going to get all 3 of them if I have to, and stop this thing because she has had to live for at least the last 10, 15 years, or has it been all of our marriage? All of our marriage? And can you imagine sleeping next to this motor, this diesel engine going? He even recorded mine one time, and then played it back to me. And so I was fishing last year with a whole group of people, part of our staff and part of our board members. And when we showed up at this lodge, before we actually started fishing, everybody in the camp, all of our friends said, first of all, we want to know who the snorers are. So there were 3 of us, they isolated. And they said, we will not sleep in the same cabin with you, so you guys got to get your own cabin. So the 3 of us had this huge room all to ourselves. They wouldn't sleep with us. I wake up at 2 in the morning. Now, I put those little rubber things in my ear, foam deals. And so I'm waking up at 2 in the morning, and I hear this bang, bang, bang bang, and I hear a clarinet at the same time. And I'm thinking, what a weird experience. Somebody's banging, and there's a clarinet going. I can't come to. When I finally come to, I realize that Jim Bronner is banging on the wall because two of us are snoring. The other guy sounded just like a clarinet. And I thought, his poor wife was it's really weird. But see, that can be a major withdrawal. To where they want to strangle you at night. And, well, of course, I've been kicked many a times. And boom, get over on your side, get out of bed, I'm going to sleep somewhere else. I mean, how many years do I want to do this? I don't want to continue this. So I'm going to find out exactly what it takes to get this thing, even if I have to take some kind of medicine to do that. Okay, so those are withdrawals for Norma. And so what are the withdrawals for your mate? Let's take a few seconds and just hear one or two. I don't want to start an argument right here on the spot. So it's pretty safe here because I don't think anybody's going to get up, run out of here. But the safest things you can say in this context, what would be a withdrawal for you as a mate? And we'll just share it with one another because you may not be talking about this kind of thing. And so on your mark, get set, go. I'll get some volunteers. Okay, who'd be willing to share? And you got to get permission from your mate, obviously, to share this, but what would be a withdrawal that your mate would be doing that you'd be free enough to share in a group like this that millions of people are going to hear in the future, okay? Yes?
It's being treated like I don't exist.
Being treated like you don't exist. Yeah. Now, that's a pretty big withdrawal. Right, and see, there's very specific things. I notice your wife's not sitting right next to you. What can happen is that's coming out of some reason. That's why some of the other sessions that we've had, maybe on anger and so on, because some of those things that we go through in life can block us with treating people like they don't exist. So part of the discussion can be, what do I do specifically that communicates that? What can I do to communicate that you exist? So it could be a deposit. Anybody else? Yes. Being on time tells us a lot about our personality, because some personalities have a tough time being on time. And they usually marry the person that loves to be right there on the nose, right? How many of you are not on time? See this? How many of you are married to that person, but you'd like to be on time? That's the same number of hands. Isn't that amazing how we gravitate? Now there's balance there. So we need to be praising one another. Anybody else have one? Over here? Yes. Okay, he has a job where he travels a lot. That can be a withdrawal. So that's a big decision to make, because how can I make deposits even while I'm traveling? Because there's ways to do that. So you can interact, and what would have to take place as I'm traveling, because I know it's a withdrawal, that I could make more deposits while I'm gone than withdrawals. That's a lively discussion in the future. Okay? Yes?
If I want to talk about something and he doesn't want to talk about it, then the withdrawal is if he won't give me an appointment when he will talk.
Good. That's a very practical one. If she wants to talk about something and he won't even give an appointment in the future as to when they can talk about it, if you'll just say, let's talk about it tomorrow or tonight, then that's a deposit. It's a big withdrawal if there's no time set for it. See, how would we know this type of thing unless we ask one another? See, we're married to the bank, in a sense. And we can say, what's this withdrawal? And as we find out and we listen and we try to understand, I really value you. I love you. I'm committed to you for life. I want our marriage to last forever. What can I do to understand the withdrawals? Because I may not understand the withdrawal. that my wife feels is one. And if I find out, and the same thing with her, she finds out what it withdraws from me. So that's important. All right, now, second part of this, again, just the other side of the coin. What are the deposits that your mate considers are important today? We're talking simple here. We're talking finding out what the deposits are so you can make more of them than withdrawals. The way you find that out is asking, what's a deposit? Now, for my wife, the deposits are the same kinds of things that most of you would like and that I would like. I'd love to hear that she loves me. I'd love to feel the security of that. I don't want her to do the kinds of things that cause the withdrawals. I want to feel secure. I want her to listen. I want her to respond. The same things, touch, doing things together, praising her. Those are all things that she sees as deposits. And I really want to understand this because, see, for Norma, Christmas is a big deposit. Just that whole holiday season. All the holidays are to her. She has things to decorate the house for every season, you know. If she wasn't around, I mean, I don't think our home would ever get decorated with anything. And it'd probably be a pretty dull place around there. But she's so excited about everything. The colors come out. But she starts shopping for Christmas in January. Hides things, you know, and loves, is that not true? And I love that. I love that about her. And so, but what did I used to do the first several years of our marriage? Frustrated those things. I used to say, come on, you know, it's too early. Let's wait till December. I used to shop December 24th. Because see, and the reason I did is because it was very hard for me to keep a gift wrapped and not give it to somebody. You know, it was hard for me to hide it and say, I got to wait a month or two. But now that I've adjusted, realizing that it's a big deposit for her, I'm willing to do that. Because I know what that means to her. Some of the things that she used to love to hear was when a doctor would say, you're pregnant. She loves the kids. You know what a big deposit for her is when I encourage the kids and praise them, and when I'm encouraging them in the sense of giving them energy. If I'm critical to the kids, it's a big withdrawal. But anything I do to enrich the kids, and she said to me, I would have never guessed this in 100 years. She said, you know what a big deposit would be for me? And I said, what? She said, if you would write a children's book and dedicate it to our grandchildren, one at a time to each one that we get. Hopefully we'll have many, you know. It's just a hint. And so, but each one she'd love, and it would be not that much effort to write a children's book, but if I dedicated it to them, she said, to me that would be a big deposit. Would I have figured that out without asking her? Never. That's the helpfulness of just asking. Does she like to shop? Yes. Does she like me to be with her? Yes, if I really get into it and I'm enthusiastic. I can cause a withdrawal shopping with her. It depends on my attitude. Like, I mean, how many dresses are you going to look at? I saw 14 of them that looked like they really would look good on you. And if she goes home and says, I didn't see a thing I liked, I go, See, then that can be a withdrawal for me. If I have an enthusiastic attitude and say, hey, that's okay, it'll happen, you know, we'll do it again, whatever, then that's a deposit. But not like the guy who found out that his wife had lost her credit cards. And it was a year later, and he still hadn't canceled them because he found out that the thief was spending less money than his wife was. So that's an insensitive husband. Well, we're best friends. We tell each other we're best friends. We love doing things together. Those are all deposits. What do best friends do together? Well, the things they do together, the things that are deposits. And we love finding that out about each other. And that's a major, we've never, ever discussed divorce. It hasn't been an issue with us because there have been so many deposits. Murder, maybe, but not divorce, okay? So these are all important things. So let's just take the time. This is a real important part. Let's take the time for you to ask your mate, or for those of you who are here single, ask your friends, what is a deposit for you as a friend from another friend? What's a deposit from you from your mate? I like both mates to discuss back and forth. What's the deposits? Because when you go from here, that's what I'd love to see you work on, is concentrating on those deposits, understanding those deposits, and giving them in creative ways from time to time. Get that balance as high as you can get it. So And then I'll get volunteers again to share what a deposit is, because we're pretty common. On your mark, get set, go. All right, let me hear some examples, and I'll repeat them. These are, you're finding out what your mate considers a deposit. Did you find out anybody in chance? This gentleman down here with the tie?
Yeah, she loves it when I come home and chat with her.
She loves it when I come home and chat with her. And a chat means what?
Small talk.
Small talk. How'd the day go?
Kids.
Hey, listen to what he just said. This is really fascinating because this is common with a lot of us. He said small talk. Is chatting about ordinary things that happen every day really small talk? Or to a lot of women, is that big talk? Big talk. Isn't that interesting how we get caught up in thinking it's small talk? It's big talk. It's valuable talk. Good. Appreciate that. Anything on your part that he shared? Yeah, it would be a... I hate to put you on the spot. Ah, so in other words, if you're on the phone when he comes home, that's a withdrawal. If you're not on the phone and greet him enthusiastically, that's a deposit. Did he share like how he would love to have you greeted? What? You'll discuss that with us later. Okay. After they turn off the cameras. Okay, I understand. Anybody else? Volunteers? Yes. Here and up front.
Yeah, daily verbal expression of your love.
Daily verbal expression of your love. Okay? Just out of curiosity, how many women would love to hear at least twice a day verbally that your husband loves you? Let's see your hands. Okay. How many men would love to hear like twice a day that your wife loves you? Like to hear it out loud? Look like the same number. Okay? Great suggestion. Big deposits, verbal. A lot of guys say, they know I do. I'm still here. Yes.
When he helps me, when he offers to help me around the house, like when we're ready to go someplace, instead of just to go and sit in the car and wait for me while I'm running around shutting the windows and getting everyone ready to go somewhere for the next 20 minutes. He's just waiting where I'm at.
What a great common statement.
Is there
Can I help?
Can I help to get us ready so we can be on time?
Ooh, good. Good. Did you hear that? Anytime he volunteers to help as they're getting ready to go somewhere, like, can I help with the kids? Can I help with the house? Would you like something repaired while we're getting ready? Or would because otherwise she's running around for 20 minutes and he's out in the car honking. No, he didn't say that. Would you hurry up? I mean, we're capable of doing that, but isn't that interesting how many times I hear that from women, that they love it when we volunteer to help. Kids with the homework, anything around the house that's a help. Okay, good. Anybody else? Yes. When you what? Oh, she said that she loves it when dad comes into their daughter's bedroom and prays with her daughter. Big deposit to the wife. See, how would we know that unless we ask? And when we know that type of thing, we know it's not only helping the daughter, but we know it's really a big deposit for our wife. So then I get more enthusiastic to do things like that. So, in other words, this is the type of thing that you concentrate on in the future. Here's the simple rule. Make more deposits than withdrawals. Find out what the withdrawals are, do less. Find out what the deposits are, do more often. Is that complicated? And yet that causes couples to stay together because it gives you energy. But you have to discuss it with one another. Now there's another aspect that I love about all this. And this is something that I enjoy doing with my wife. As we find out what works, in other words, what's a deposit, ask our mate to praise us at the time that we're making a deposit to reinforce our memory and to reinforce that it really is a deposit. In other words, the verbal expression of praise is really important because what you're getting is recognition. What you're really getting is a receipt from the bank. They're handing it to you. Thank you for that deposit. Here's what it was. And here's your amount of interest from that deposit. It's big interest in this one. So thank you very much. Or you might say it's only a 2% interest on that, but I want to thank you anyway. Because that was only a 7-day CD. And see what I mean? In other words, if you talk as a couple on what's the biggest deposit, the one that makes the biggest interest, and then you actually get praise for that. One time I had a husband call me on the phone. He was irate. And his wife was divorcing him. I can't believe it, after 25 years, she would do this, you know. I haven't been that bad, you know, and stuff like that. Well, he made so many withdrawals and there were very few deposits. And so when we talked together, and I talked to his wife, and I knew her. And so I knew she didn't have a boyfriend. And this is most of the time. Now, it's not all the time, obviously. But if a woman is threatening to leave her husband in divorce, and she doesn't have a boyfriend, and she's open to hearing about what anger does to us and how to get over it and forgive her husband, and she has even the slightest bit of interest in getting back together, that's almost a sure deal of staying together, married, or getting back together and remarrying if you've had the divorce. If that's the case, if they're rigid and angry and will not change and will not listen about their anger, and if they have a boyfriend, man, it's tougher. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but that's a harder scenario. And so in this situation, I knew she didn't have a boyfriend. I knew she was real responsive. I knew that she wanted to be married to her husband, but couldn't anymore in her mind because he was a real controlling, domineering person. In fact, when he was on the phone with me, I paused at one time and I said, I hate to say this to you, but you know, if I was your wife, I don't think I could stay with you either. You're really controlling, even in our conversation. So he said, well, I want to know what I need to do. And I said, well, I don't want her to divorce. It's going to cost me a lot of money. I said, well, there's really nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. You have to go through with it because she has the lawyer and it's happening. So I said, I'll go to court with you and I'll go the whole works. So we went to the courthouse and I'm sitting with him on this bench, and then the lawyer's calling him in, the judge calls him in, and he comes flying out of the negotiating room and says, that's it. She wants 20% of my retirement, and I'm not doing that. I mean, it's unreasonable. Angry, controlling. I said, what? I said, we're talking about getting remarried. We're talking about being back together. Give her 50%. What? Forget it, I'm giving her 50%. I said, do it. All right. He goes back in, gives her 50%. And then they divorce, okay? It's final. Now I'm starting to help him date his wife because she still wants to see him. So we talk continually about, okay, what deposits does she need? What does she really like? She loves for me to listen. She loves for me to be tender. And I said, it's so hard for me. I said, well, you can practice this, okay? So we worked on that. I was his support team. We worked on it. He practiced. And I'll never forget, about 6 months when he was trying to date her, and he was, and she was open to this, and she was being encouraged, but he blew it so many times. He'd be making all these deposits, and then he'd blow his stack and say, da, da, and he'd make this massive withdrawal. He'd take the whole thing out of the bank, grab it, and walk out. He'd call me and say, well, I blew it tonight. I withdrew everything. So this one day he calls me and says, well, I blew it tonight. I withdrew everything. I mean, it's ridiculous. She'll never want to remarry me. I am surprised if she wants to talk to me. We talked about it. I said, look, just keep at it. Keep making those deposits. Admit to her tomorrow when you see her that you were wrong. Open up. You're not perfect. You're never going to be perfect. But tell her what you see you did so she can understand that you're becoming more sensitive and aware of your behavior. All right. It's so humiliating to almost every other day admit what a jerk I am. I said, well, hey, I have to do it. If I do it, you have to do it. We're in this together. You know? Okay, so the next day, he calls me on the phone. He says, guess what? I went over and talked to her, admitted I was wrong, asked her if she'd forgive me. She forgave me, responded to me, touched me, and then this is what she said. He said, and the day before, I remember, he said to her, I blew it big time, withdrew everything. I know she'll never respond. She said, what are you doing this afternoon? And he said, nothing. And she said, how would you like to go back to the same judge that officiated over our divorce 6 months ago and ask him if he would marry us? And he said, are you serious? She said, yes, I think it's time. Don't you? And he said, yes. 10 years, he said, of marital bliss. 10 of the greatest years, he said, I can't even imagine being happier. She developed some serious illness and passed away. And when he called me on the phone, and I had lost contact with him, he called me on the phone one day. I'd been on a national talk show, and he heard my name and got the number and called me and said, I just wanted to thank you for helping me with those 10 years. Great years in my life. He said, my wife was so loving and sweet, and we just had a great time for 10 years. Even though we had a miserable time for those first 25, but the 10 were worth it all. And he said, I've lost her, lost a great friend, but what treasured memories I now have. Well, what did he do during those 10 years? Deposit, deposit, deposit. Of course he had some withdrawals, but you can always confess those, admit them, seek forgiveness. It's amazing what we can do. I'd just like to ask in closing, what is your bank account look like? If you were to ask your mate today, what's my balance? What would they say? Let them be honest, because you can start the deposit instantly. And then check from time to time, what's my balance? What's my balance? What's the interest? What's it up to? Okay? It's retirement is what it is. When you're 59 and a half, you can start withdrawing some of that. Interest-free. Interest-free, tax-free, I mean. My mind is. And tax-free, bliss. It's possible. Do it every day. Check your account. Be responsible in your banking. And watch how your relationship is enriched. Thank you. Divorce proofing our marriage. I mean, is this not a simple method? Something we can use every day? I mean, finding out what makes me energetic, what causes me to lose energy, what causes my mate to feel like she's getting energy from things I do or say, the things that drain her energy. I mean, just yesterday we were having a discussion, and I found out a new area of my wife that drained her energy. I mean, 10 years ago, it wouldn't have affected her like it does today. So we're always growing, we're always changing. This is a method that keeps us current, that we find out what's working today, what gives my mate energy today, what takes it away from her, what gives me energy. So it goes both ways, but it's very practical. I know it'll improve your relationships.